My sister got pregnant by my husband. My parents knew for 9 months and said nothing. I found out at her baby shower. She smiled at me across the room, touched her belly, and said, "Isn't this exciting?" I had been standing in her living room for exactly 4 minutes, surrounded by pink balloons, baby shower decorations I had helped pick out, gifts I had helped buy, and that's when I saw it, the photo on the gift table. My husband and my sister, together. Welcome. Today's story comes from Reddit, and I want to be upfront with you about something. I'm not just going to read this to you. I'm going to tell you what Reddit said, what I think Reddit got right, and, more importantly, what almost everyone in the comments missed entirely. Because this story isn't just about cheating. It's not just about betrayal. It's about the people who watch it happen and choose to say nothing, and by the end of this video, I think you'll understand exactly why that silence is sometimes worse than the act itself. Let me take you back to the beginning. Our narrator, let's call her Claire, was 31 years old when her world collapsed at a baby shower. But to understand what happened that afternoon, you need to understand what her life looked like before it. Claire had been married to her husband Daniel for 4 years. Together for 7. She describes their relationship the way most people describe something they genuinely believed in. Not perfect, but real. We had something real. Daniel worked in finance. Good job, good salary. The kind of man who remembered birthdays and fixed things around the house without being asked. Claire worked as a school administrator. Organized, calm under pressure, the person everyone called when something needed to get done. Her sister Megan was 28, 3 years younger. And if you asked anyone in their family who the favorite was, nobody would hesitate. It was Megan. Claire doesn't describe it with bitterness. She describes it the way people describe something they've simply accepted. The way you accept that the sky is blue. It just was, she writes. Megan was the pretty one, the fun one, the one my parents bragged about at dinner parties. Claire was the responsible one. The one who paid her bills on time, remembered to call on holidays, showed up when things needed to be done. Reliable, dependable, invisible, in the way that responsible people often are. Megan had never been especially close to Daniel. Polite at family dinners, friendly at holidays, but nothing unusual, or so Claire thought. That started to change about 14 months before the baby shower. Megan went through a breakup. Long-term relationship ended badly. She was struggling. And because that's what families do, or at least what they're supposed to do, Claire and Daniel opened their home. Megan came for dinner. Sometimes twice a week. Sometimes more. I thought it was nice, Claire writes. I thought Daniel was being kind. I thought our house finally felt full. She had absolutely no idea what she had just invited in. The first sign was small. So small that Claire almost missed it. One evening, she came home from work to find Daniel and Megan laughing at something on his phone. When she walked in, they both looked up, and Daniel tilted the phone away. She asked what was funny. He said, "Just a stupid meme." Megan smiled and said, "You had to be there. That was all." A tilted phone. 4 words. You had to be there. Claire told herself she was being paranoid. She had always been anxious. She knew that about herself. So she let it go, but she started noticing other things. Daniel would mention Megan unprompted. Megan said something funny today. Or, I texted Megan that restaurant you liked. She might enjoy it. Small things. Things that shouldn't have meant anything. Then one night, Daniel got a call. He stepped out onto the back porch. Claire could see him through the kitchen window, pacing, smiling, running his hand through his hair the way he did when he was nervous and happy at the same time. The same way he used to look when he called her? Years ago, when they were first together. When he came back in, she asked who it was. He said, "Just work." She didn't push. She told herself she was reading too much into a phone call. She told herself she trusted him. She had trusted him for 7 years. And then Megan called her one Tuesday morning with news. She was pregnant. 12 weeks along. She didn't know who the father was, she said. It had been a complicated few months. She asked Claire not to tell their parents yet. She needed time to figure things out. Claire congratulated her. She meant it. She was going to be an aunt. She was genuinely happy. She had absolutely no idea what she had just agreed to protect. But here's what Claire didn't know. Her parents already knew who the father was, and they had known for weeks. The next 3 months were what Claire describes as the quietest kind of chaos. On the surface, everything looked normal. Megan's pregnancy progressed. The family rallied around her. Dinners, check-ins, her mother researching strollers online. Daniel seemed fine, present, attentive, but something had shifted underneath. Something Claire couldn't name yet. Daniel started working late more often. Not every night, just often enough that she noticed. When she asked, the answers were always reasonable. A project, a client call, a deadline. Always something she couldn't verify and had no reason to doubt. And then there was the way he acted around Megan. At family dinners, he would ask how she was feeling before he asked Claire how her day went. He remembered her prenatal appointment dates. Once he quietly paid for a set of maternity clothes Megan had mentioned wanting, and when Claire noticed and asked about it, he said, "She's going through a hard time. I was just being kind." Claire told herself the same thing. He was being kind. That was who Daniel was. Kind. The moment that cracked everything open happened on a Thursday evening, about 5 months into Megan's pregnancy. Claire came home early from work. A migraine had sent her home at 3 o'clock. She walked through the front door, kicked off her shoes, and was heading toward the bedroom when she heard Daniel's voice coming from the study. He was on the phone. The door was almost closed. She could hear him clearly through the gap. "I know it's complicated, but you have to stop calling me when Claire's home. I'll figure it out. I just need more time." Claire stood in the hallway with her coat still on, listening to her husband ask someone to stop calling him when his wife was home. She did not burst through the door. She did not scream. She turned around, walked back to the kitchen, sat down at the table, and stayed very, very still, because something in her already knew. And the part of her that knew wasn't ready yet. That night, after Daniel fell asleep, Claire went through his phone. She had never done that before. In 7 years, she had never looked through his phone. She had never felt like she needed to. The messages were mostly deleted, but not all of them. What remained was enough: Megan's name, timestamps, a string of messages spanning 4 months, references to appointments, to how the baby was moving, to names they were considering, and then, at the very bottom of one thread, a message from 3 months ago. From Claire's mother. It said, "Daniel, Megan told us everything. We think the best thing for everyone right now is to wait until after the baby is born. Claire doesn't need to know yet. Let's not destroy the family over something that can't be undone." Her mother knew. Her mother had known for 3 months, and had told Daniel and her daughter's husband to keep the secret. Claire put the phone down. She walked to the bathroom. She sat on the edge of the tub, and she did not cry. Not yet. She was past the kind of pain that produces tears. She had gone somewhere else entirely. Somewhere very cold and very quiet. She started thinking about dates, about timelines, about every family dinner she had sat through in the last 3 months, with her mother smiling across the table, her father passing the bread, Megan laughing at something Daniel said, and all of them knowing. All of them watching her, and knowing. She thought about the last time her mother had hugged her. Had it felt different? Had she been holding her differently? The way people hold someone when they feel guilty? Or had it felt exactly the same? That was somehow the worst thought. That it might have felt exactly the same. Okay, I need to stop here for a second, because I want to ask you something before we get to what happens at the baby shower. And what happens at the baby shower is something I still can't believe she had the strength to do. Drop a comment right now. Just one word. What would you have done that night? The night you found those messages on his phone? Would you have confronted him immediately? Would you have packed a bag and left? Or would you have done what Claire did? Which was nothing, not yet, because Claire had a plan. For 4 weeks, Claire said nothing. She went to work. She came home. She made dinner. She sat across from Daniel at their kitchen table and asked him about his day, and listened to him lie to her face. And she smiled and nodded and said, "That sounds stressful." I'm sorry, she told no one what she knew. Not her best friend. Not her cousin. Not a single person, because she needed 4 more weeks. She needed the baby shower. Claire had been helping plan the shower for 2 months. Her idea, she had offered. She had chosen the venue, Megan's living room, decorated in soft yellow and white. She had helped design the invitations. She had coordinated the guest list. She had personally called 15 people to make sure they were coming, including Daniel's mother and his sister, and 3 of their closest mutual friends. People who knew both of them. People who would be there. People who would be watching. The morning of the shower, Claire got dressed carefully. She did her hair. She put on the earrings Daniel had given her for their last anniversary. She looked in the mirror for a long moment, then she picked up the folder she had been keeping for 4 weeks. Printed copies of the messages, screenshots, a timeline she had constructed, date by date, of everything she had pieced together. She put the folder in her bag, and she drove to her sister's baby shower. The room was full when she arrived. 23 people, balloons, a cake shaped like a little onesie, Megan in a pale blue dress, glowing, accepting congratulations, their mother catching Claire's eye from across the room and smiling. A smile that said everything was fine. A smile that said, "We're family." Daniel was there, standing near the drinks table. He looked up when she walked in and smiled at her. She smiled back. For the first 40 minutes, Claire moved through the room like she had no idea. She admired the decorations. She accepted a drink. She chatted with Daniel's mother, a woman who did not know what her son had done, and thought, she's about to find out. When the gift opening began, Claire positioned herself near the front, where everyone could see her. Megan opened the first gift, then the second. The room was warm and loud and happy. And then Megan picked up a small box, Claire's gift. A custom frame, ordered 2 months ago before she knew. Meant to hold the baby's first photo. Megan unwrapped it, looked up, smiled. "Claire, this is beautiful." "Thank you." And Claire said, calmly, clearly, in a voice that carried across the entire room, "I thought you'd want something to put the first photo in." Of Daniel's baby, the room went silent. The kind of silence that happens when 23 people all stop breathing at the same moment. Megan's face went white. Their mother made a sound, not quite a word, just a sound. Daniel, who had been standing 8 feet away, went completely still. Claire reached into her bag, pulled out the folder, set it on the gift table, open. "I found the messages 4 weeks ago," she said. "I've had a lot of time to think about what to say. I decided to say it here, in front of everyone who matters. Because some of you," she looked at her mother, "already knew." Her mother started to speak. Claire held up one hand. "I'm not finished." She turned to Daniel's mother, a woman sitting in the front row with a gift still in her lap, and said, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. You deserve to know." We all did. Then she picked up her bag, straightened her jacket, and she walked out. She did not slam the door. She did not look back. She did not cry until she was in her car, 3 blocks away, parked on a street she had never been on before. And even then, she says, she cried for exactly 10 minutes because she had things to do. That was 6 months ago. What happened after she walked out of that baby shower is where this story gets complicated, because the people who betrayed her, they didn't stay quiet. The calls started the next morning. First her mother, then her father, then Megan, then Daniel, then somehow an Aunt Claire barely knew, all saying variations of the same things. That she had embarrassed the family, that she had humiliated Megan, that the baby didn't deserve to come into the world like this, that she needed to calm down and think about what was best for everyone. Best for everyone, Claire writes. As if I hadn't spent the last 4 weeks, the last 9 months, being the thing that got sacrificed for everyone else's comfort. She did not respond to any of them. She had already spoken to a lawyer. The day after she found the messages, she had made an appointment. Because that's who Claire is. She plans. She prepares. She does not wait for the floor to fall out before she looks for something to hold on to. The divorce was filed within 2 weeks of the shower. Daniel did not contest it. Claire suspects Megan told him not to, that contesting it would only cause more damage to a situation that had already caused enough. Or maybe he just knew he had no ground to stand on. Her parents went through several stages. First, they tried to broker peace. Then they tried guilt. Then, when neither of those worked, they went quiet for a while. About 6 weeks into the silence, her mother sent a long email, part apology, part justification. It explained that they had been afraid, that they hadn't known how to tell her, that they had convinced themselves that waiting was the kind thing to do. Claire read it once, and then she replied with 4 sentences. You had 9 months to tell me the truth. You chose 9 months of silence. I don't need an explanation for why. I need time to decide if I still want you in my life. That was 3 months ago. She hasn't answered since. The baby was born 2 months after the shower. A girl. Daniel is listed as the father on the birth certificate. He and Megan are apparently together now, a fact that Claire found out through mutual friends rather than from anyone who might have thought to tell her directly. She says she felt nothing when she heard. Not rage, not grief. Just a tired kind of certainty that she had always known somewhere that this was who they were. That she had just been the last person to be allowed to know it. She is in therapy now. She has a small apartment she chose herself. She has friends who know what happened and did not make her explain herself twice. She is, she says, the quietest kind of okay, which is the only kind of okay that actually lasts. Reddit, predictably, had opinions, and the top comment, the one with 42,000 upvotes, said something that I completely agree with. And something that I think completely misses the point. Let me explain. Reddit voted not the asshole, obviously. Unanimously? Almost. The top comment said, what she did at that shower took more courage than most people will ever have. She had every right, and I agree. She absolutely had every right, but here's what Reddit missed. Here's what almost no one talked about. The husband and the sister are the obvious villains. And yes, what they did was a profound betrayal. There is no minimizing that, but the parents are the part of this story that I can't stop thinking about. Because here is what Claire's parents chose to do. They chose the comfort of the family unit over the dignity of their own daughter. They decided that keeping peace, keeping Thanksgiving normal, keeping Christmas normal, keeping dinners normal, was worth more than the truth Claire deserved. And I want to name what that actually is. Because it has a name. It's called complicity. And it is one of the most painful forms of betrayal. Because it comes from the people who are supposed to be safe. There's a psychological concept called the bystander effect, the idea that when more people know about something wrong, each individual person feels less personal responsibility to act. Claire's parents had each other. They had Daniel. They had Megan. They were a group. And in a group, it becomes very easy to tell yourself that someone else will handle it, or that waiting is kinder, or that silence is the same as neutrality. It isn't. Silence is always a choice. And in this case, they chose it 9 times. Once for every month Claire spent not knowing. If you are watching this and you recognize yourself in Claire's parents, if you have ever told yourself that staying quiet was the kind thing, the safe thing, the family thing, I want to offer you something to sit with. The person you are protecting with your silence is never the person you think it is. And one more thing. About Claire, what she did at that baby shower wasn't revenge. I know it looked like it. I know the timing, the folder, the public setting. It looked strategic. And maybe it was. But what she was actually doing was something much simpler. She was refusing to be the only person in the room who didn't know the truth about her own life. And after 9 months of being kept in the dark, and she had every right to turn on the lights. That's where Claire's story stands. Today, divorced, rebuilt. Quieter than before, she says. But clearer. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. 1 word, 1 sentence, whatever you have. Was her parents' silence worse than the cheating itself? Or do you think they were genuinely trying to protect her? I read every comment. Every single one. And sometimes the comments on this channel are more insightful than anything I could say. So please, tell me what you think. And if you're new here, This is what we do on this channel. We don't just read Reddit stories. We ask why they happened. We ask what they reveal. We ask what we can take from them. If that's something you want more of, the subscribe button is right there. It costs you nothing, and it means I can keep making these. Next video. A father finds out his daughter's boyfriend has been hurting her for 8 months. The boyfriend looks him in the eye and says 4 words he will spend the next 6 months regretting. What are you going to do about it? Everything. He did everything. I'll see you there. See you in the next one.